So you've known for 3 years that you don't like your job, maybe 5 years, maybe even longer than that. You have thought about leaving multiple times. You've told yourself that you need to do something different, that you can't keep going like this anymore. And yet you're still there. You haven't applied to anything, you haven't made a move, and you just keep showing up to the same job that is draining you day after day after day. And you tell yourself that it's because the timing isn't right or you don't know what else is out there. But may I submit that the thing that's stopping you from making a career pivot is likely not what you think it is. Like, not to sound ominous or anything, but in this video, I want to walk you through the 3 surface level fears that you might think are holding you back from making a career pivot, just based on what I hear the most. And then I'm going to show you the real fear that is underneath all of them. And I'll explain why that fear isn't going to go away until you take action. If you are new here, hi. And if you are a regular viewer, welcome back. I am Dr. Tega, and I'm a career coach who helps professional women leave soul-sucking, draining jobs that they don't like and land higher paying, more fulfilling careers that they enjoy and can thrive in while getting paid well, by helping them clarify their next career move and job search without burning out. Let's get into today's video. Okay, so you've been unhappy in your career for a few years now. You don't enjoy the work. It makes you feel miserable, to be honest. It feels boring and like you're not doing meaningful work. And yes, you have thoughts about leaving. You've thought about leaving multiple times over the last few years. Maybe you've just said in passing, I really need a new job. Or maybe you've actually spent time looking at job boards. But 5 years have gone by and you are still at that job that you hate. So what is really going on here? Well, let me share with you the fears you probably think are holding you back from a career pivot, just to make sure we're on the same page. Because if you're watching this video, you probably have a list of reasons why you can't leave your job right now, right? Why you can't make a change, why you need to just wait a little bit longer for the right time. And a lot of those reasons probably even sound really logical. But what I have noticed working with professional women for years now is that the fears you say out loud are almost never the real fear that's keeping you stuck. So that being said, I want to at least share the 3 most common fears with you, just to see if they resonate before going to the real fear. Okay. So the first surface level fear number 1 is, what if I can't pay my bills? This is by far the one people say the most. I can't leave my job because I have bills to pay. I have a mortgage. I have rent. I have student loans. I have responsibilities. And listen, I get it. Okay. Bills are real. Financial obligations are real. We all gotta eat and live, right? But here's what I also know. If you are at the point where you are considering a career pivot, there is a high chance that you're not broke. Like, you wouldn't say no to more money, but you're also probably not struggling to survive. You have a savings account. You have maybe even budgeted for professional development or courses or coaching. You're financially stable on some level. So the fear of not being able to pay your bills is usually not actually about survival, because the money is there, in my experience. Then we have surface level number 2. What if there's nothing else out there for me? This is the one that keeps you scrolling job boards without ever actually applying to anything. You're looking at what's out there. You are reading job descriptions. You're researching other roles, other industries, other fields, other companies. You're doing a lot of research, but you never actually take the next step because you are convinced that there is nothing out there that's a fit for you. You are convinced that every job you look at requires skills you don't have, or experience you don't have or haven't gained yet, or maybe even a degree that you didn't get. So you keep researching, but you never act. Then 6 months go by, a year goes by, and you are still in the same job that's draining you. And finally, we have surface level fear number 3, which is, what if I don't have the skills to do anything else? This fear centers around the fact that you have been in your current job, maybe even your current industry or company, for so long that you think your skills won't transfer to anything else, that you are somehow too specialized. And if you try to pivot to something new, you're going to fail because you don't actually have the skills to do anything else. And so, again, you stay in that job you don't like, even though it's draining you, because at least you're good at that job, right? At least you know how to do it, and the unknown just feels too risky. So let me know. Did I get your biggest pivot fears right or no? Maybe you have other fears I didn't name. But regardless of what you're telling yourself you're afraid of, when it comes to making a career pivot, the fact is all those fears, right? Paying your bills, finding options, having the right skills. Those are all logical fears. They all make sense on the surface. But in my experience, the real fear that is under all of those is about identity. And I mean that quite literally. You have been in your current job or current industry or current career path for so long that at this point, it's not just what you do anymore. It has become who you are. Like, just take a moment and think about it. When you meet someone for the first time, or when someone asks you about yourself and you're introducing yourself, what do you usually say? You probably say your name immediately followed by your job title or your industry, as in, hi, I'm Joe, I'm a project manager, or hello, I'm Jane, I'm a teacher, right? I'm in healthcare, I'm a lawyer. Your job at this point of your career has become your identity. And I'm not saying that to judge you or anything. I think that the very nature of being in a capitalistic society makes it so easy, in fact, sometimes mandatory, for us to tie our identities to our jobs. We use jobs to judge people and make judgment about people's place in society. And the unfortunate part about tying your identity to your job is that when you think about making a career pivot or a career change, your brain is not just processing a job change. Your brain is processing an identity change. And an identity change is so much more terrifying than a career change. Because if you're not a project manager anymore, then who are you? If you're not in tech anymore, then what are you, right? If you leave this industry that you have been in for 16 years, then what does that say about all the time and all the energy that you put into building this career? After years on the same career path, making a career pivot often feels like you're losing yourself. It feels like you have to become someone different, and that is scary. I once had a client who was a chief diversity officer. She had been climbing the ladder in her career for 16 years. She had just gotten into a new C-suite role, a role that most people would look at on paper and think that she made it, right? They'll think she's successful, she's arrived. And she realized that she did not enjoy her job at all. Like, she realized that she had been climbing the ladder because that is what she was supposed to do. That's what success looked like. That's what she thought she wanted. But the work didn't feel meaningful for her anymore. She wasn't happy. She wasn't thriving, which is why she then came to work with me as her career coach. And when we started with career clarity work, because that's where I always start with my clients. And she started to discover that she had been managing people and leading teams for years. She realized that what she actually wanted from her career was to work alone and get things done. And she didn't want to manage people. She wanted to create. She wanted to write. She wanted to think, creatively. But she realized that she also hadn't been showing up authentically as herself for 20 years because she had been doing what she thought she was supposed to do in her career. And from us working together, she talked about how just from getting clear about her next step, she was able to show up authentically in her job search for the first time in 20 years. Like, she was in interviews talking about her cancer journey, about Black Lives Matter. She was fully confidently herself, and she started applying to jobs she had never thought she would apply to before, and she was actually getting interviews. This client ultimately ended up going, from legal work to being an author. Complete pivot, complete identity shift. And it happened because she was willing to let go of who she thought she was supposed to be and step into who she actually was. Now she is thriving in her career. That is the power of what is possible once you start to separate your identity from your career. Now, if this is resonating so far and you know that you've been staying stuck in a job that you no longer enjoy, because of fear, here's the thing that I want you to know about fear. It's not going to go away until you take action. It doesn't matter what the fear really is, right? Fear of paying bills, fear of not finding options, fear of not having the right skills, fear of losing your identity. It really doesn't matter what the fear is, because none of those fears are going anywhere until you take action. Because your brain needs data that this decision, this career pivot will work before it categorizes it as being safe and you stop being afraid. So you're waiting to stop feeling fear before you take action, thinking, okay, once I feel ready, once I feel confident, once I feel less scared, then I will make the career move. Meanwhile, you need to take action and then you'll stop feeling fear. Because your brain's job is to keep you safe. And the way that it does this is based on historical evidence, meaning what has worked in the past. And even though you don't like your job right now, you're still alive. So to your brain, that job is safe. And until you actually make the career pivot, it will not be safe to your brain. Right? A change will not be safe. So if your fear is fear of failing in a new job, your brain is going to keep telling you it's not safe to go into a new job until you actually go into a new job and see that you can do it. If your fear is not finding any option, your brain is going to keep telling you there are no options until you actually start looking and applying and seeing that there are options. Right now, you are stuck in this cycle where you're researching and you're watching videos and you're Googling how to make a pivot and scrolling job boards, and your brain thinks you're doing something about the situation. Your brain is satisfied by the research, but 6 months will go by. A year goes by and you're still in that job that is draining you because you never actually took action. Research is not action. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not the action that gives your brain data about the safety of a career pivot. Watching this video is not action. I appreciate the views, don't get me wrong, but this video will not tell your brain that making a career pivot is safe. Thinking about making a pivot is not action. The only thing that eliminates fear is taking the actual step. And I know that sounds scary, but here's what I also know. The fear you're feeling right now, staying in a job that's draining you, watching your career die a slow death, feeling stuck for 3 years or 5 years or longer, that fear is worse than the fear of trying something new and it not working out. So, what is the first action step that I would recommend? Because I know that you might be watching this video thinking, okay, Tega, I get it. I need to take action, but I don't even know what job I want, right? Like, I don't know what action to take. I don't know what I'm qualified to do. I don't know what roles would fit me. I don't know where to start this pivot journey. Well, I would encourage you to check out the Peaceful Pivot Guide, because part of why you're stuck in fear is that you don't know what to do next. And that's fair. You don't know what roles you could pivot into. You don't know how to position your skills for a new industry because nobody has ever taught you how to do that. You don't know what the first step is. And so you just stay stuck. Well, the Peaceful Pivot Guide is a tool, a resource that I created that walks you through the exact 5 steps to clarify what roles you're qualified to pivot into with your current skill set. It will show you how to position yourself for those roles and how to land a job that you genuinely enjoy in a new field without burning out. It is the action step that starts slowly dissolving the fear, because it at least gives your brain the evidence it needs that there are options out there for you, that you do have transferable skills that you can use to do something else, and that a pivot is actually possible. You can learn more about the guide and grab your copy at pivotwithpeace.com, or you can find that link in the description of this video below. Now, if you're wondering, what if I take action and it doesn't work out? Or what if I try to pivot and I fail? I hear you. Again, fear can be a really big motivator. And here's what I also want you to hear. While yes, making a career pivot and failing is a possibility, do you know what's a guarantee? Staying in that job you hate for another 3 years and being miserable. That's a guarantee. Would you consider that failure or success? It's up to you to decide. But if you are intentional and strategic about making your pivot, it's more likely to work than it is to fail. And I'm speaking from experience as somebody who has pivoted 3 times in the last 12 years in my career and worked with multiple clients. And that is why I created the Peaceful Pivot Guide, to help you be intentional about your career pivot and peacefully transition into a more fulfilling career path. So I invite you to go to pivotwithpeace.com today to grab your copy, or again, you can find that link in the description below. I hope this video was helpful. If you found it helpful, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And then once you hit the like and subscribe buttons below and you hit the notify button so you don't miss future videos, don't click away because there's another video popping up on the screen right next to me. You probably haven't watched that video yet, so go ahead and click that video. Watch that video because it's going to continue helping you in your career.